Welcome to the Coach Jeff Garrett Show, where each week I bring you short, bite-sized podcasts filled with powerful ideas that you can use at home and at work. I'm a thought leader that believes you can have success while living life out of balance. I'm glad you're here. Let's get the show started. Today I want to talk to you about how to use the power of three for learning. I've used this method for over 30 years. You can use this technique on fiction or nonfiction books. The first step is just to go through and read the book. Or nowadays you can listen to the book. I use Audible a lot of times to listen to a book the first time through. And then I'll go back and get the hard copy of the book, or I'll get the book on Kindle and go back through it again. So the first step is just learning for enjoyment and entertainment. And you just read through or listen to the book at your leisure. You can either read it on paperback or hardback or a pad device. The other way that, like I mentioned, I like to listen to books too, is to go use Audible. Sometimes I like to read fiction, historical fiction in particular, military and spy thrillers or biographies, just to get a break sometimes from learning about business and other things, nonfiction topics. I find that it increases my creativity and it'll help me learn different things. For example, I've learned a ton of things while I was listening or reading Tom Clancy books about the military and different things as far as equipment and those type of things that I would have never learned had I not read those books. The first step that I do is I go through the book, as I said, just to read it and enjoy it. The second step is to actually learn from the book. And this is not something that I'm going to do with my fiction books, but I do it with nonfiction. I go through that second time and I highlight or underline things that stand out to me, things I'd like to learn, topics that I find important or intriguing. So I go through the book and I'll highlight or underline. If I'm using a pad device, which I do quite frequently, I'll go through and I'll highlight with the highlighter option in the pad device. Also, if I'm reading the book, the paper book itself, I will take some notes in the margin sometimes. I will admit that I cheat sometimes. And if I'm finding something really interesting in a nonfiction book, I'll start making some little underlines or notes while I'm reading through the book the first time. But the second time through is making the notes. The third time through the book is taking the highlights and notes and putting them in a journal. I really like to handwrite my notes because I tend to remember them better if I handwrite them. And plus it makes it real easy for me to pull out a journal and just start looking through the notes on books that I've done this for. I've also used some apps. I've used Evernote, GoodNotes, and Notability to make voice notes. Some people really like voice notes. They like to have those notes in that particular format. So I do recommend that using an app to do that is a really good way to do it. Here are the 3 steps. Step 1, read or listen to the book. Step 2, go through the book again and highlight or underline key phrases and things that are important to you. Step 3, go back and take notes and organize those notes in a journal or notebook. I've used this again for over 30 years, and I go back through these journals occasionally so I can get the key learnings that I learned from the books, and I get it in a very short amount of time. A bonus thing, if you've ever learned how to speed read in college, I took a speed reading course and I still use this today. Before I read a book, a lot of times I'll go through and speed read it and go through the book, and it helps me retain some of the information. And I'll also use this on the back end as well. After I finish the book, go through and speed read it and get through the book to retain more information. So if you do have speed reading as one of your skills, you can certainly do this too. And I'd be interested to hear how you use speed reading. Unfortunately, you can't do this if you use a pad device like Kindle Reader, and you can't use it with Audible as far as speed reading goes. But one thing you can do on Audible is you can make it 1.25 times or 1.5 times or 2 times the speed, so you can cheat a little bit and get through the book a little bit faster. I've also found that you can use this particular technique for videos. I've used it for YouTube videos to be able to go through the video to learn something, go back through the video and take notes. And the nice thing about the videos is you can hit pause or stop, and you can go back and get the information again. The other thing that I've been able to do too, and maybe you've done it as well, is I use a split screen. So on one screen, if I'm trying to learn to do something on the computer, I can watch it on one screen and I can do it actually on the other screen. So that's a way you can use this technique as well. Thanks for listening, and be audacious. You have just listened to the Coach Jeff Garrett Show. If you enjoyed the show, go to iTunes, subscribe to the show, write a review, and give us a rating. Thank you for listening, and remember to be great.